Hi grade 3s, we're going to talk about principles in division. Now this is not the principle like Mr. Failer principle. This is principles meaning it's a rule. So we're going to talk about some rules when you are dividing by certain numbers. Now math always needs rules. We've been talking about why it's important to have rules in math. In particular, we're going to start with some easy division rules that will help you just with your fast facts and it will help you understand division. Let's start with the first one, dividing by 0. In multiplication, we know that anything times 0 is 0. When we multiply any number by 0, we get 0. Division is the same way. Anything that's divided by 0 is going to be 0. So let's find out why. Here's your example. So my first example is 0 divided by 4, and I'm going to use the example of candy because I really like candy and I like to share candy. So let's talk about if I have 0 pieces of candy. I have no candy at all, 0. And I have 4 kids that I want to share candy with. How many pieces of candy do they each get? Well, 0, none, because I have no candy to give them. So if I have 0 pieces of candy and I want to share it with 4 kids, how many do each get? 0. That's a little bit of an example of why 0 divided by anything equals 0. So that is my rule. My rule is any number divided by 0 equals 0. Now I'm going to show you on the worksheet that you have, that you're going to be working on today, there's actually an algebraic formula. Now that sounds really scary, but don't be scared. Algebra, all it is just they're replacing a number with a letter. Okay, so they're putting the alphabet in there just to confuse you, but I'm going to try and make it as easy as possible so that you're not confused. This is so we can set up a rule. If I want to say 0 divided by any number, now I'm going to put an A there to represent any number. Okay, yes, it's from the alphabet, but I'm just putting it there to say any number at all. Okay, 0 divided by any number equals 0. So that's going to be my algebraic equation that just says, or my expression that just says any number at all. I chose A because for A for any number at all is going to equal 0. Now sometimes they use the letter N, or they'll use X or Y, A, B, C. You can use any number to be a place value or a hold for a number. Okay, so here's my rule. 0 divided by any number equals 0. Let's go to our rule number 2. So our rule number 2 is in dividing by 1. Whenever we divide something by 1, it's actually going to be like multiplication. Big shock. Anything divided by 1 is itself. So let's try that out. Let's start with 4 divided by 1. So if I have 4 pieces of candy and I want to share with one person. So here's my group. How many pieces of candy does that one person get? 4. Pretty straightforward. So my rule is any number divided by 1 equals itself. So algebraic equation, you ready for it? Here's my algebraic equation. So any number at all. Let's make that an A again, just because that'll keep us thinking A, any number. But remember, it can be a T, it can be an N, it can be an R, it can be any number or any letter to represent any number. So any number divided by 1 is going to equal itself. Now I have an A there again because that actually means it's the same number. That's why they use letters, because sometimes you'll have different numbers. You'll need a different letter to represent. It's just like a secret code when you're writing a secret message. So I have any number at all divided by 1 equals that number. It equals itself. Maybe your equation might want to be, maybe you want to put an N in there as any number divided by 1 equals that number. Okay, it's always going to be the same. Any number divided by 1 is itself. Same as multiplication. Any number divided by 0 is 0. Any number divided by 1 is itself. All right, let's go to our next easy rule, and that's dividing by 2. Now, the really cool thing about dividing by 2, we know we're separating it into 2 equal groups. Okay, so we have 2 equal groups. In this case, we have 6 pieces of candy, and I didn't separate them out yet, so I'll do that right now into 2 groups. So there's one group, my second group. Here's another group, and another. Okay, back and forth. I'm going to divide them out. Now I have 2 groups of 3. So if I had, sorry, my division, I guess I should start with that. 6 candies between 2 people. 6 divided by 2. What's half of 6? is 3. And we can see they each get 3. If I wanted to say I have 18 candies and I want to divide them in 2, I'm just splitting that number in half. What's half of 18? It's 9. Okay, so our other most important rule is any number divided by 2 equals half. And we're going to be even talking about that when we start doing fractions next. It's really cool. We'll just divide it in half. So let's try if we have 8 divided by 2. What's 8 divided by 2? Well, what's half of 8? Half of 8 is 4. Okay, so that's a pretty easy rule. That's going to be fun. You will be doing that tomorrow. You'll be doing divided by 2. All you're doing is splitting things in half. Now, can I divide something in half that is an odd number? Like, can I divide 7 in half? I could, but I'd have half of a number, and I couldn't do it because I don't have a whole number. Later this week, we're going to be talking about something being divisible. We needed to be able to divide equally into half. So to divide by 2 and make something in half, for us in grade 3, we're just using even numbers. Awesome. Have fun with that.